Cool. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the delicious lunch. I did. Welcome to the final and afternoon session of Spark. This one is all about one of the biggest events that's going to happen this year, certainly. And if there's a reason to be optimistic, this is definitely it. The Commonwealth Games countdown is on its way, and CultureFest is part of that. So, before, rather than waste any time, I'll introduce Christina Boxer, who's the Commonwealth Games Manager for Warwick District Council? Programme Manager for Warwick District Council.
Just hope I can make this work properly. So, thank you, everybody. I know just straight after lunch, so we're hoping we're keeping you lively and awake. So, because it is a really exciting time. This is just a few images of some of the things. We're going to be having the lawn bowls and para bowls, and also the cycling road race here in the district and part of the county as well. And it is amazing. I've been involved in quite a few Commonwealth Games in different ways. And for this area and towns to actually host, it's the second largest multi-sports global event in the world. So I know World Cup footballs is big in that, but after the Olympics, it's the biggest thing ever. And we've got two of them coming here. So we really want people to get excited, and I'm going to highlight some of the developments recently, but also linking into the fact that there's some fantastic cultural aspects that hopefully you're really interested in. So just to highlight, with those two events, we've actually got 10 out of the 12 days. So it's going to be really, really exciting, and you get a really great atmosphere. There'll be street dressing, and it really builds up, and the street dressing goes up before the games, so it really gets everybody excited. And there's going to be lots and lots of people coming and seeing a wide variety of things, but also for me, the local people and the young people, to have something this big that's going to be on television and lots of attention for the younger people, that's also something that's really, really exciting. And I should highlight there that we have the start and the finish venue for the cycling, and it's the county council that are doing the road race, so we're working together on the cycling. But the lawn bowls and the para bowls, the Commonwealth Games is different to the Olympics. They integrate the para sport. That everybody loves, because that's true, isn't it? Inclusion and integration. It means there's not quite as many events as separating and having the Olympics and the Paralympics. But I personally feel that that's a real special thing about the Commonwealth Games, is that they integrate those two. And it means you can be at Victoria Park and you can be watching on one green the men's doubles, and you can be watching the para triples on another green, which is, I think, is amazing. So that's something we're really excited about. And you can see we've got 2 sessions a day. So that means that we've got people coming in, and then they'll be going out, and then other people coming in. Some might have tickets for both, but I'll talk a little bit later. But we're having a live site on the Pump Run Gardens to encourage people to come into the gardens and then up into town and then see all the cultural things, and we talk a bit more about that. So it's to have 2 sessions is a real positive thing, because people don't just come and go back, they stay, so that's really good. And you can see the different competitors, different nations, and last Commonwealth Games, it'd be about 5,000 visitors a day altogether. So that's a really exciting time for us. As part of any big multi-sport event, the reason the government put money in and the reason that people bid for them isn't just the sport and the publicity. It's because it generates a lot of other benefits. So you get a lot of funds and income and that you can apply for. And I think, I know it's challenging, isn't it, doing things with money at the moment, especially after the last 2 years. But something like this brings in money that wouldn't have been there. So we were really lucky, well, not lucky actually, but it was fortuitous that we said, and I think my colleague here, Rose Winship, she was part of it way back in 2017, when the Durban Games, because it was supposed to be in South Africa, this Games, but they couldn't provide what they needed to, when it was then put against Birmingham and Liverpool, do people remember when they were bidding against each other for this one? Warwick District Council said, we've got this fantastic bowls facility. They were thinking of building a sort of temporary one, and that's what people are trying to avoid now, is to have things that are sustainable. So going right back to 2017, the fact that Warwick District's got this wonderful lawn bowls facility means that we were able to offer that, and we're part of the Commonwealth Games. And then because they got to know us about the bowls and the lawn bowls, and we do the cycle tours and we work with the county, we then also got the cycling. So it's a really good going back and looking back at, if people can think ahead, it's more than just the sport. It brings in lots of things. And because we had the Commonwealth Games and we had the lawn bowls, there was a special local enterprise development fund for the Commonwealth Games. So we were able to access that, and we won a grant just as the pandemic was hitting. And my colleague, Paul Garrison, that leads the project, he had to completely readjust everything and the application because we had to do the risk with the pandemic. But we got multi-million pounds, and some of the things are to do with the venue, but if you know this area, there's a lot of the public realm that's just been improved, and we wouldn't have been able to fund that, not necessarily as well as we have, if it hadn't been the fact that we're hosting the Commonwealth Games. And the Paralympics side of it, we've been able to improve the accessibility as well. I've clicked, yeah, good. And then, getting even wider, it goes, we've got things like the cafe and the patios and things, but we're now also, part of that fund is to enhance things at Leamington Spa train station and the underpass. And I've been working now for the council since 2018, and I know that people have really wanted that, you know, there was a lovely project for the underpass years and years ago, but everybody knew it had to be modernised and livened up and get ready. So we've been able to use some of that LEP funding, the local enterprise funding, to do some wonderful things for the infrastructure. So if you live in this area, it's fantastic. There's also going to be a few things with the cycling, but we didn't get the cycling until 2020, so this fund wasn't available. But it does highlight why it's good to go for big things. And I know in arts and culture, you know, it's really good sometimes to apply for big things because you get other funding that comes in. So the cycling, as I've explained, if you see there where the little cross is, the start and finish is going to be opposite where Warwick School is, Myton Fields. And we're going to be hosting the start and finish venue. They call it the start-finish venue because it's where the paid ticket holders come in. So they do all their sort of razzmatazz, and it's by the start and the finish, and there's paid ticket holders. So as a district council, we're working on that. The county council are working with the organising committee for the actual race. And this was actually publicised last year, but the start, you can see it's laps. So that's really exciting because people get to see things more. But as you can imagine, and we'll go on to it, the fact that it's a lap course, you have to think about the people who live in the area and how it impacts. But it's a Sunday, and they chose a Sunday because it's not quite such a busy day for lots of things. But it's a really exciting, and if you live anywhere, you can, you know, I'd invite all my friends if I lived in Warwick to come and visit me so that you can have an amazing day. And as I said, the women's race is in the morning. Then you could go and have lunch, have a pub, do what you want to do, have a picnic, and then you could watch the men's in the evening. So, and it's a really high profile, the cycling. So I know that I don't know what everybody's specific interest is here, so we thought the best thing to do was to be able to provide some web links, because then afterwards you can go and find out anything that you specifically would like. And of course, Johnathan will talk more about the cultural aspects. So we've got some websites up there. The Birmingham 2022, you can find out all the things. There's still some tickets. They had some tickets sold early on, and they even enable people in the locality to have sort of the first chance. So if you didn't get tickets and you wanted them, they are going to then be pushing out the rest of them. So there's still chances to get tickets. And I would say, I think the cycling's already gone because it's just 2,000. But the bowls, the premier, some of the premier slots are sold out already. But there's probably some slots in bowls where if you want to, especially families, if you want to go and just taste the atmosphere of a multi-global event, then it is. I know lots of friends who aren't into sport at all, but they got tickets for things and they just love the atmosphere of it all. Then I'm going to highlight at the top there, baton bearers. So where it says, let's take it on, Monday is the deadline for any of you to be able to nominate a baton bearer. So there's the Queen's Baton Relay, which comes into the country. If you've seen the news, the Queen does a message, it goes in the baton. It's gone all around the Commonwealth. It'll come back into the country probably a couple of months before. Then it does bits around the country, and then it comes to the West Midlands. So we don't know the route yet. It's not advertised, it's not going to be published until April, but it will be coming through the area. And you can, if there's somebody you feel that would love the honour, each part of each district and each local authority, there's a small bit of a relay. It's not like the Olympics, it's not a relay that goes continuously, but they bring people in, and then they have a little area where they do a relay with baton bearers and involved children and everything. So if there's somebody you want to recognise, somebody that you feel, I know yesterday somebody emailed me, they've nominated somebody that for years has given their life to Girl Guides and guiding and voluntary, years and years of it. So they've nominated them. So it's anybody, and we really want as many from the district. Because although we could never have won the Commonwealth Games as our district, so it's Birmingham 2022, and we totally understand that. It's because it was a big city and all the funding and the support they could get. But we also know that because we're a little bit further out, that if we can really get opportunities like this and get local people, the stories you can do, about somebody who's got the honour of the Queen's baton, and it goes all the way around, and then eventually it will be the opening ceremony, it does the last bit, and then somebody from the royal family, we don't know yet whether it will be the Queen, but she's passionate about the Commonwealth Games, so she might be targeting that one event, the opening ceremony. And then the message is read out at the opening ceremony. So these people can be part of history, and it's something to tell their children, their grandchildren. It is something that's very unique. Then we've got also something up there called the Lookbook. So if you see the one that says Birmingham 2022 Lookbook, that is about all the street dressing that you can do. Now, we as a local authority, linking up with town councils and also the county council, we will be doing some street dressing. We have what we call the walking route, so from the train station to the venues. That's because they're trying to promote public transport, so the main walking route is always from the train station. We're going to be dressing that as well. But any non-profit making organisation can, if they want, dress something up. So if you're going to link in with the CultureFest and link in with some of the things Johnathan's doing, you can actually log on to there. It's very, well, I won't say confidential, but they're keeping the designs and everything, as you'll understand. They're keeping it so that when they do the sort of launch and put it up, it's a surprise and it's exciting. So if you want this, you have to agree to their terms and references. So that's why you have to go on to that. But then you can purchase. The deadline for that is the 1st of March, though. So if it's something you'd love to do, then, and it's lovely, the actual lookbook, when it's really high quality street dressing, really nice. Further down, we've got something here. Commonwealth Day is something that you probably might not know this, but every year on the second Monday in March, the council, the British Council and the Commonwealth Federation, they promote the Commonwealth. So this isn't sport, this is just promoting the Commonwealth. And we're going to be doing something on the Commonwealth Day. It's not announced yet, but we're linking it to the Commonwealth Connections that we're doing. So it's going to really start making people see just how amazing these different countries are. And I've been at Commonwealth Games, and you get countries like Australia who've got world champions, but then you get somebody from Namibia or somebody from one of the sort of Bahamas, or I have to be careful because I don't know all the small islands, but it's amazing because you do get this real mix of people that come from huge countries, and then you get people that come from small islands, and it just creates, they call it the friendly games. It really is a very, very special, unique thing. So they're promoting the Commonwealth, and we've got our Commonwealth connections there. So I'm going to put them on the spot. Is there anybody here got a Commonwealth connection that isn't England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland? I've said them all, haven't I? a Commonwealth connection. You could have been on holiday, you could have been done charity. I know a few people of my colleagues that should be putting their hands up. So if you've got a Commonwealth connection of any type, we want to publicise it, and then we're going to promote it, and then we're hoping to show that we've got this real connection. It's a bit like twinning of towns in a way, but in a more informal way. It's to show that for these people that will be coming here from all over the world, that we've got connections in this district, and the county is doing it as well, so we're doing it collectively. So all you have to do, it's very simple, just log on onto that website. So I shall move on to about the comms and engagement. I know I'm just giving an overview, but they're now going to be starting to have some formal comms and engagement opportunities for people. It's the 6 months to go was the 28th of January, so we've got about 5.5 months to go now, and we're going to have these drop-ins. So the first one is next Friday, so Birmingham 2022 will be sending somebody that can give further information. I think, and I apologise if I haven't quite got it right, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, might be, but we'll be publicising that. We're just waiting back for the final confirmation. We will be there as well, but it's very much Birmingham 2022. So if you don't like going on a website and searching through all the different web pages, it's a brilliant drop-in opportunity. You don't have to book, you can just drop in and find out a bit more about it. And then there's going to be, we're alternating Royal Leamington Spa and Warwick every month. Then there's these 2 enhanced engagements which haven't been finalised yet, but these will be ones where you book a bit like with today, you know, you've booked to come in, and then that's going to be the organising committee, Transport for West Midlands, maybe some of the people that can tell you a bit more about how they're going to manage some of the road closures and things for the cycling. That will be later on. There's 2. The reason for that is one is going to be sort of late March, early April. Then there's another one that will be around about May, June, because by May, June, that's when they'll have for the cycling race a lot of the information. And I've now been working since 2018. And it is amazing. I never knew with these events how much planning and organisation goes into it. And you've got 2 types of events. You've got the big ones in the stadiums, but they have sports events all the time. You know, the NEC, the Rico Centre, or what's it called now? The Rico, sorry, I've forgotten. Does anybody know what's it called? It changes, doesn't it? But you know, the big one in Coventry. But they're used to it. They have permanent staff. We've got 2 events which they call greenfield sites. And that's because our Lawn Bowls is beautiful, but it doesn't have a permanent stadium around it. It's on a green field, really. It's a lovely venue, but it's in the beautiful Victoria Park. And then the cycling, you know, Myton Fields and the course, it's not something that is fixed. And so it takes so much time to get all the people in. I've been doing the venue operation planning, and they had 3 stages. And it's been, for me, incredible to realise just how much they have to, you know, the police, the ambulance, they're talking with Transport for West Midlands, and then they get these they call them turnkey contractors in that were going to put up all these stands. Well, until they come in, they can't tell you everything. And then the broadcasters, I've got a site visit soon with all the broadcasters. They come in and they want, we need our cameras there, we need our cameras there. So sometimes it's not until you get quite close that everything has been sorted. So that's why the last one will be a bit closer to the game so that we can give all the information out. But my admiration goes out. I mean, I'm sure Johnathan and the people here in our cultural services, just putting on an event like this, we turn up, don't we? It's like a wedding. You just turn up. I know how long Johnathan's been working on it and the hours he's been doing. Can you imagine for a Commonwealth Games and Olympics? And so it's really made me think, I just didn't understand and realise what goes into it. And as I say, we'd love to tell everybody today, I'd love to tell you exactly everything that's going to be happening in August, but it's still in the planning and final stages. But if you want to find out more, then these are great opportunities. So, to finish off, and we've got questions and answers, because I think that's a really important, if it's the first time you've sort of thought about something. But to finish off, this is the summer in Warwick District and the county. This is the summer we've got. After 2 years of, well, we all know, don't we? Been really, really difficult. And I don't live in this district. I wish I did. And I know people in some other parts of the country, they haven't got something like this to look forward to. And it is generating. There's lots of opportunities with Birmingham for businesses. We know some local companies that have won contracts. And so there's been lots of really good opportunities because of this that wouldn't have been there. So we've got the bowls and para bowls, very importantly. Men's and women's road races. We've got the CultureFest, which you're going to hear more about. Then we're going to have 2 live sites for the whole of the duration of the Games. So there's one that the county's doing in Market Square in Warwick. The one that we'll be organising is in the Pump Room Gardens. We're going to, on the 28th, we're going to have a community, it's our final countdown. We've had 4 years of counting down. And so that's going to be on the Pump Rooms. And then there'll be the opening ceremony on the big screen. And I know that Johnathan's working with our colleague Marcus Ferguson with the live site. There'll be cultural things, not just showing the sports events and everything. So that's going to be there for local people and people that, you know, if you didn't get a ticket, you can still really get the atmosphere. Then also the University of Warwick is one of the athletes' venues and villages. So originally it was going to be Perry Bar where they all went, but because of pandemic and COVID and infecting, they were having construction for that, so it affected that. So now the University of Birmingham's having some, Warwick University is having some of the athletes, and then around the NEC, some of the hotels. So that's also in our area. Then the Queen's Baton Relay, but as I say, that's not going to be announced until April. But if you think about it, I don't know, am I wrong? Have you ever had a time like this around here? Ever been something like this? And we really want people to get excited, because I don't know if you remember London 2012. Oh, I watched a Have I Got News For You old one on Dave the other day, and they were absolutely crucifying it. And of course we all know it was the very best thing, because we have media that love to be negative, and they think negative stories sell. But I took my mum to the Paralympics, and friends of mine got tickets for that Super Saturday. I wish I had, but they did. And just think, everybody said it was going to be awful and a flop, and it was incredible. So I know, because I've been at Manchester, I've been at Brisbane, Kuala Lumpur, I've been at quite a few in different ways, Commonwealth Games. It's lovely when it's here. And as I say, it's all these different nations of all different backgrounds. It is a lovely event. So I'll finish by saying, if you can all get excited and get behind it and realise just what a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity we've got, then I personally would give you a big thank you. So thank you. And I'll pass over to Johnathan. Oops, I leave that there.
Thanks, Christina. That's a good lunch, wasn't it? I think I had an extra samosa and paying for it now. I'm Johnathan Branson. I'm the Projects and Development Manager at Warwick District Council for the Arts section, and I'm also Warwick District Creative Compact Manager. When I'm not putting together events like Spark, I get to work on all sorts of really fun and exciting programmes and projects to help bring more arts audiences into the area and to stimulate creative sector growth, including CultureFest.
And I realise I forgot to say questions and answers, but
we can do that after.
We can do them at the end, it's probably better.
So over the next 15 minutes, I'll introduce what CultureFest is. CultureFest, that's what I'm talking about, thank you. What it is, when and where it's happening, why we're doing it, how it's developed, and how you can get involved. And then I'll give you some examples of the types of things that we've already confirmed. And then, as Christina said, there'll be an opportunity for questions. So, the what. It's hopefully, the clues in the title, it's a cultural festival that will be taking part from the 16th of July until the 21st of August. Across 4 towns. So if you're not from Warwick District is Kenilworth, Warwick, Leamington and Whitnash. The event is taking part roughly 2 weeks either side of the sporting events to add value to the visitors that are coming to the area. And think of it as an umbrella brand that will bring together a collection of new and existing work. Click on to the next slide. So why are we doing it? Well, given what Christina's just said, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Having the lawn bowls, the power lawn bowls, the road races all coming to town is just something that is probably never going to happen again in our lifetime. It's a brilliant opportunity to showcase and celebrate the incredible arts and heritage and culture in the area. For those of you who attended the Arts Grant session earlier as well, David introduced Warwick District's Creative Framework, which is a 5-year strategy for creative sector growth. And this is just a really useful mechanism to bring people together, to have conversations, to connect people, to connect ideas, and deliver some of those priorities around placemaking, engagement, voice, and obviously the creative sector growth. We've been developing this for 2 years. It isn't just something that we've magicked up. And as Christina mentioned, things have changed considerably over the last 2 years. It's changed shape. We've had lots of conversations with our critical friends, people in the sector, Commonwealth Games Project Board at Warwick District Council. We've had help from senior producers at Birmingham 2020 Festival, and we've also been relying on input and support from Warwick District Creative Compact. We believe that what we've put together is the best model and the most effective model given the resources available to us. CultureFest has 3 main aims and objectives for people who live, work and visit the area to discover or rediscover world-class venues and artists from across our 4 towns, to find new stories and experiences by young people and emerging talent, and importantly, to have fun and enjoy shared experiences with family and friends. Like all good festivals, CultureFest is going to be curated, and all successful submissions will meet selection criteria. We have 3 curatorial themes, which closely mirror that from the Birmingham 2022 Festival. They are Our Place in the Commonwealth, The Present Moment, and Stories of Warwick District. The feature programme must engage at least one of our target audiences, and they're children and young people, families, and audiences that cultural institutions traditionally struggle to engage. As I mentioned, we've been planning this for a couple of years, and it has chopped and changed as we try to figure out how we live with COVID. So we've had to move pretty quickly since October, when we made the CultureFest programme toolkit available on our website. The toolkit, if you've had a look at it already, provides everything you need to know about submitting a programme to the event. The application process opened in November, and we'll start to promote confirmed programme via the CultureFest website and a CultureFest campaign from March until the end of the event. It's still early days, which is why my presentation's quite light on visuals, so sorry about that. But the selection panel, which includes representation from Birmingham 2022 Festival, Motion House, Warwick County Council, Warwick District Council and Warwick District Creative Compact, has already met 3 times to discuss applications, and the next panel will be meeting in March. We like to give responses fairly quickly to anyone that's applied, so we hope to get back to you within 1 week to let you know if you're successful or if you've been unsuccessful. If you're successful, we'll then arrange a one-to-one to talk about next steps and how we move things forward. If you're unsuccessful, we still want to talk to you and discuss opportunities and how we can raise your profile through the festival. Importantly, the biggest question we always get asked, where's the money? We don't have any money. So what we do have is lots of opportunities to support you, including the new arts grants that were mentioned earlier on. We've been working with a whole host of arts organisations, individuals and artists to get money from the likes of Arts Council, from Birmingham 2022 and various other funding sources, so we can help you to apply for grants. We can support raising your profile of your existing programme through our dedicated marketing campaign. We can help grow and cross-pollinate your audiences, as we will see a huge influx of people visiting in the area in the lead up to, during and following the Games. And we can connect you with people with similar passions and ideas. We can also connect you with spaces and places to present your work. So Christina's already mentioned the idea of live sites, and we also have access to parks, things like bandstands, town halls. So we're interested in the types of work that you produce and thinking about how we can present it in interesting and meaningful ways. As I mentioned, it's still early days. We don't have a huge amount of content to share with you, but some of the programmes are also embargoed, which we'll hear about fairly soon in the press. But we do have a number of things just to give you a flavour of what to expect. Excuse me while I get a drink. It's almost like I've been talking non-stop since 5 a.m. So Market Hall Museum has got a really interesting programme called On Your Bike. So that's going to be an exhibition and activities to coincide with the cycling road races in Warwick. Leamington Spa Art Gallery Museum will be using photogrammetry and augmented reality to connect objects from the collection to sites in the town around the theme of Commonwealth in new and innovative ways. Art in the Park, which is a hugely valuable and important date in the cultural calendar, are exploring how they can address CultureFest themes in their extensive programme. And Warwickshire Pride are exploring the creation of some new work to highlight injustices that the LGBT plus people face in many Commonwealth countries in a way that informs, educates and engages. There's all sorts of tours and trails that people want to present for the CultureFest. A recently confirmed one's Leamington History Group, and they'll be presenting a global Leamington project, which will create further awareness and celebrate Leamington's rich and diverse history across the globe with a particular focus on its connections to the Commonwealth. Here's a couple of things that you might have seen in the press recently. So we have the Leamington's Colour Palette, which is by Stacey Barnfield. So there's a call gone out via press to encourage people to suggest people, places, objects that are synonymous with the town to then inform a colour palette, and that gets turned into a piece of public engagement art which is likely to feature in the pedestrian underpass at the station. There's also the Jenny Moncur Bridge on Prince's Drive, which you can see a picture of it being produced there as well. So really excited to see how that turns out. Finally, we're also working with Warwickshire County Council on their Art Challenge programme, which is commissioning a number of sculptures to appear in and around Warwickshire, and we're grateful to receive one which will be announced fairly soon that will be installed in Leamington. So, CultureFest. We're really excited about it. I know it probably doesn't sound it from my presentation, but my brain's been very full. That's why I've got lots of script. So we are genuinely excited about it. It's a really brilliant opportunity. There are lots of opportunities to plug in, lots of opportunities to connect people. So we encourage you to think about how, if you've got existing programme, how it can benefit from what we're doing. If you've got venues or spaces that you think you can present work in, let's have a conversation. Or if you just want to find out if your idea could get some traction and could feature as part of the programme. So there we go. I'm going to end there and have a sit down and a little rest. Thank you. And a drink, yeah.
What we're really grateful for is it's not just the cultural services team and the leisure services team. The whole of Warwick District Council, every single service area is going to be involved, like street cleaning and security and all sorts of things. But I know that we were so lucky to have Johnathan and to be able to have him be our lead person for the Commonwealth Games, because he is tired, because I know how hard he's been working to get this today happening. But he gave a list of the things which he can't announce yet because it's not public. But it's incredible, and compared to lots of other things going on, what he's managed to actually get started and going, I know I'm really grateful for it. So I hope everybody will sort of get behind it. And I forgot to mention on my slide that there's still a chance. You can still be a volunteer for the opening and closing ceremonies of the Commonwealth Games. They want dancers, musicians and things. So if you just go onto that website link, which we'll let you all have, then if there's any creative aspects that they need for the opening ceremony, closing ceremony, not just the volunteers dancing, but also people helping with those two big ceremonies, which are huge. So it didn't say when the deadline is, but it's still on their website. So if you're interested, I would get on with it. So I forgot to say questions and answers, didn't I?
And use microphone.
Am I supposed to use Could you hear me at the back? I used to be a school teacher, so you can tell that I have to do PE lessons. Did everybody get the bits that I've just said? Yeah, okay.
David's got the catch box. So does anyone have any questions either about what Christina presented or what I talked about CultureFest? And David will throw that at you. Or pass.
You can do the 3x3 basketball if you can catch it.
Hello. We're looking to do an event possibly at St Nicholas Park. I was just wondering, because obviously the cycle race begins and ends there, how many days prep do you think they'll need? I know it's a very specific question, so I do apologise for
it. It is a very specific question, but the events team, Marcus is sitting in the room, won't single you out, have created a brilliant new resource, a book which has all of the instructions, everything you need to know about timescales, locations in there. So that's probably the best place to start.
I've got that, so I'll have a read. So
brilliant.
I'll just take advantage of the fact that you're there in front of me.
I was just going to add that the organising committee, now that it's more on Whiten Fields and Warwick School, they don't need to be setting up so much on the park, but they do start very early. So it's just making sure what people are doing doesn't sort of conflict with that.
Thank you. Can you help me clear up a confusion on my part? There appears to be sort of two festivals going on. There's Birmingham 22 and the CultureFest.
Yeah.
What relationship is there between them?
So the Birmingham 2022 Festival is it's not official, you're not allowed to use the word official, but that is an event, a programme that is being delivered by the organising committee. Each of the host areas where some of the sport activity is going to are developing their own cultural programmes in line with that. So it's kind of supporting programme that we are delivering here in our location.
I've seen it online, you see, and I wasn't quite sure what the relationship was between. So basically, it is the umbrella body for it.
Yeah, CultureFest will feature in the Birmingham 2022 marketing materials as the area's local cultural activity.
But I understood Birmingham 22 was going to start around March.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay, thank you. One more question allied to that. Motion House, which is very exciting from here, are going to be performing in the opening ceremonies, 6 or 7 performances. Is that going to be sort of Birmingham 22, CultureFest, or what?
So Motion House sit on our Creative Compact, which I manage, which is a network of 19 leaders. So they are helping to inform what the programme for CultureFest is. So everything is, as I mentioned, in development phase. So there are discussions about how not just Motion House, but every arts organisation in the area could potentially take part and benefit. So that's a very politician-based answer, isn't it? Yeah. But there are conversations happening about how people
I know,
take part.
everything you see online says this is provisional, this is to be developed. Don't get excited yet. And so.
No, get excited. You can get excited.
Okay. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
I think there was a question up there.
Oh, well, look, can you get up there, David?
No, the lady. They've been waiting. It's all right, we haven't forgotten you there.
Good throw.
Hello. If I had a project that I don't have funding for at the moment, is there a way we could get involved a bit later on, like just in a way of maybe helping to promote it within that timescale?
Yeah, so there'll be a whole marketing campaign around CultureFest. So I suggest, is it Jenny? I can't quite see that.
Jenny,
yeah, so if we have a conversation about what your idea is, and then from our point of view, we can try and plug it in and let you know about the strategic themes and where the opportunities are. So I think the first point is to have a conversation. It might be perfect and brilliant and tick every box, and then there'll be ways of us helping you to find money. If it isn't the right fit, then there are other ways that we can support and signpost visitors to you and your work just as a general profile raising outside of the festival.
So you don't have to have confirmed funding to apply?
No, you don't have to have confirmed funding.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll just add that if you go onto the Birmingham website, and actually it's on our website as well, there's a United by Birmingham, and you can put on activities and get promotional things. So there's lots of ways that you can, even if you're not going for formal funding or doing something very sort of formally with them, there's ways that you can apply and have something through this United by Birmingham 22. So that's another option. There were some people, yes, this lady did. She was the first to have a hand up. Catch.
Here you go.
Could you tell us a little bit more about those themes, our place in the Commonwealth and the other two, please?
Yes. There are fairly long descriptions with each of those headers.
In the toolkit, I'm guessing.
They are in the toolkit, so the website, which was on the screen there, which is handy, if you go on there, there's almost like an FAQs guide, and it tells you exactly what the themes are and what we mean by each of the themes, but they're really broad, so it's very difficult not to be able to slot yourself into one of those themes.
Okay. Secondary question, how many visitors are we expecting into Leamington, and what spaces are available for stuff to happen as part of CultureFest? Those 2 questions.
Good questions. I'm not sure of the figure estimated. Do you know the figure for Leamington?
Well, for the bowls, for the 2 sessions, and some people might have duplicate tickets morning and afternoon, but it's sort of 5,000, and with all the sort of officials and everybody as well. But we don't know exactly how many will come along into the live site, so we'll be promoting that. So I would say minimum 5,000 a day coming at different times, but it's a fantastic audience to capture and to show any of your wonderful things that you're developing. So it's a really good opportunity.
And if I'm correct, one of the presentations I attended said there'll be more people attending cultural events at the Commonwealth Games than actual buying tickets for sporting events. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
What spaces are going to be mobilised as part of CultureFest?
So as well as looking for programme and people to feature in CultureFest, we're also looking for spaces and places. So we're really keen in activating parts of the district that currently don't get arts and culture. So if someone's got a narrowboat or a shed or something that's really interesting, and we can then marry that up with bits of programme, then they're the sorts of conversations we want to have. As a local authority, we have access to places like the Town Hall, Spa Centre, green spaces. So really, it's a bit of a call-out. So if you've got programme, what space do you need? If you've got a venue, what sort of space would you like to host? And I think our role is about being mediators and joining up stuff.
And I promised I wouldn't put her on the spot, but Nikki, our colleague who's in media, comms and marketing, we've got our website that was up there. So we've got a meeting on Monday, look at ways that perhaps it can link in, because we've got links, our website links to Birmingham 2022's, our website links to the counties. So this is also a great opportunity to get any of your things out much wider. And I'm not very good at all the modern social media, but the whole thing of the Facebooking, that also, it'll get wider and wider. So it is going to be a really good opportunity to sort of get your things further afield.
Yeah, and we're really interested in every scale of event as well. So it can be the big Art in the Park festival, or it can be a small performance that might only engage 10 people, a little storytelling session or some immersive experience. So I think it is the conversation. We need to find out what you're interested in and how we can make it fit.
Hi, just a very simple logistics thing. We expect a lot of extra cars and stuff like that. Are you going to have some kind of park and ride sort of schemes and all this sort of thing to get people in town?
My colleague Rose, that I mentioned, she's the head of our service area, very bravely took on dealing with Transport for West Midlands and all the parking aspects. But we have been in meetings now for 2 years, and it's going to be announced soon. And also that enhanced engagement, that's where things like that will be. So it's amazing. She's been in lots of meetings with Transport for West Midlands, the police, the ambulance, fire engine, all the... and so all that, and also displacement parking, and they're encouraging people to come in by public transport. There's sort of park and strides and things like that. So I can't give you the details yet, because I think it's what we talked about. It's still in the very final stages. I don't want to put Rose on the spot with the speak thing, but she's happy to. So it's probably better. But yes, that's been something that obviously we've been working on, as everybody knows, in Britain, all over the country. You always have to think about the traffic and the parking. So I'll pass it to Rose.
Yeah, just very quickly. Anybody that's buying a ticket for a ticketed event, so if you've got tickets for the lawn bowls, parabols or the cycling, part of your ticket will be a dedicated parking space ticket. For the Leamington sites, that's Warwickshire College. That's just been signed off just in the last couple of weeks. So we're hoping that if you've got your ticket, you will go to Warwickshire College and then you will walk to the venue. It's a relatively short walk in through Riverside Walk and then in through the park. Similarly with the cycling, if you've got your ticket for the cycling, National Grid, we're using the National Grid car park up on the Technology Park. Can't think of the word, off Gallows Hill. What we can't do, however, is stop anybody that's coming into the district who may have a ticket who knows their way around Leamington, they'll come and find their dedicated parking space in St Peter's or Covent Garden or wherever they normally come. So we can't stop that, but the hope is that we will stop the majority of cars coming into town, just really to try and sort of ease that congestion. Don't know if that's sort of what you were looking for, but that's where we're at the moment.
Yeah. And as I mentioned on the ticket, you have free public transport. And I know when I went to the Paralympics we didn't even dream of driving there because people know, don't they? You don't want to be late for your event. So we actually caught the train and we drove a little way to a train station miles from London, you know, and then went in. So they're doing so much that they're aware of all these different aspects. So, and as I say, the enhanced engagement one will be the one where they'll be able to give real specific information to everyone.
Yes. Thinking about transport and thinking about the cycle race, I'm trustee for Action 21 and we renovate bikes, and we're also getting Action 21 to take part in a new scheme of cycle buddies. So maybe we could do a bit of cycling and encourage people to get between Warwick and Leamington by bike.
Yes, and part of that presentation I gave with the improvements for the infrastructure. So there's more bike parking places, and we've actually linking up with the person at the county who leads on all the cycle routes. There's going to be improvement. The cycle walking route from Myton Fields across St Nicholas Park is going to be widened. So the man from the county is linking with some of the other charities. Is it Cycleways? Cycleways.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to just give me your contact, then I can pass that on, because we really want to use it as well. We've got an initiative, which I should have put up there, it's called Better Point. It's called Choose How You Move. And it's Better Points. And anybody can get involved. We'll make sure we give you the link. But basically, if you use walking, cycling, you know, environmentally friendly transport, you gain points, which you can then get vouchers for local shops. So it's helping local. And so a cafe might say you can have a free cup of coffee or 2 for 1 or something. But there's also vouchers with larger organisations, which we won't be able to promote during the time of the games because of the commercial aspects. But yes, and also you can donate to charity. So that would be something as well, that if you could help promote that, because it's a lovely scheme. It's very simple, and it's called, as I say, Choose How You Move, and it's managed by Better Points, and it's a really positive, environmentally friendly, sustainable travel process. So yes, if you're happy to give me your contacts afterwards, that'd be brilliant.
Also, if you're not sure how to time with CultureFest, let's have a conversation. If you've got access to bikes and people who can fix them, there might be someone who's desperate to find someone who has bikes and can work with them. So we might be able to put you in contact with someone to feature in CultureFest.
Thank you. Will there be kind of retail opportunities for local businesses in St Nicholas Park, kind of around the cycling for that weekend?
Marcus is on his phone. I imagine there will be. We're talking about retail.
I can actually answer. There's something called the Games Bill, Games Act, and it's to protect the established businesses in the locality, to stop people from just coming in on the day, and there has a zone. So if it's a commercial thing, you might not be able to do it within a certain zone.
So if they're Leamington-based cycling businesses?
Yes, so if they're established ones, I've got a colleague, Marion, that we can talk about, because then they can be exceptions because you're already established, because what they don't want to happen is the local businesses to be wiped out by opportunists. So I can liaise further with Johnathan, and we can give you a bit more information about that as well. That's still in. But it is still in the final stages. I saw an email yesterday about it. But once we know, and the zone areas and what you do, but you do have to have a license, though. So if you're going to be selling things, then that's a scheme that as well. So we'll let you know more specific details. as soon as
and
we have
with
it.
the cultural programme, if events and things start being developed and become part of the programme that need local retail, if we know who they are and who's willing and wants to take part, again, we can do that kind of connecting service of putting you in contact with them.
David, would you like to be in the 3x3 basketball? That's a new sport for Commonwealth Games. But I'd like to thank you for all the questions, because that's what we really want. Is we can't answer all of them specifically, but it's lovely to know what kind of things you're thinking about and wondering about, because we can take that back, and that's been something that is brilliant. You know, when we feed back, then people can give us the information, or they can say, oh, yeah, we'll get on to something to sort of sort that out. So it's been really good. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Johnathan and Christina, for that. Something really to look forward to after these COVID times. So that, I believe, is it in terms of speakers, panels and talks for Spark 2022, though the bar is still open. And if you'd like to see Spark 2023, then I suggest you buy that man there a drink afterwards, double Bacardi and Coke. As it is, obviously, Johnathan, who put most of the programme together and has worked very, very hard over
Not on my own presentation, sorry about
that. Something had to suffer, yeah. But we dragged him onto stage because he's not usually one to actually get in front of the spotlight. So thank you all again, once again, for coming. The bar is open. Make sure you check out all these stalls before you leave. We're not going to chuck you out. Make some new connections and have fun. See you again next year, hopefully.